Today, we're unpacking some seriously fascinating source material that maps out a very specific correlation between modern astrophysics and the verses of the Quran. Whether you're a hardcore science enthusiast or just someone fascinated by how information is presented in historical sources, the parallels drawn here are really thought-provoking. We'll be looking directly at how the author juxtaposes the known timeline of our universe with specific descriptions found in the Quran. The author of our source actually kicks things off at the absolute beginning, starting with the definitive conclusion of modern astrophysics. Right now, the scientific consensus is that the entire universe, along with the very dimensions of space and time, emerged from a massive explosion we all know as the Big Bang. Before this event, roughly 13.7 billion years ago, there was literally no matter, no energy, no time, just an absolute metaphysical environment. Then, from a single, incredibly dense point, everything we know just burst into existence.
So here's the big question we're exploring today. How exactly does 20th and 21st century astrophysics align with the Quran? The source text structures a really direct juxtaposition, placing these relatively recent scientific discoveries right alongside specific verses. Let's see exactly how the author builds this argument, starting with the very dawn of time.
Section 1. Origins of the Universe. The source anchors its entire argument right here at the birth of the cosmos, presenting a captivating parallel to the Big Bang theory.
The explainer points out something pretty wild. Long before the 13.7 billion-year-old Big Bang model was mathematically established by scientists, the Quran described the initial state of the cosmos. The source draws our attention to chapter 21, verse 30 of the Quran, which explicitly states that the heavens and the earth were a single combined entity that was subsequently parted. The text argues that this is a direct reflection of the initial singularity and the sudden expansion that followed.
To dig a little deeper, the author provides this really interesting linguistic breakdown. The Arabic word rataka is defined as sewn or patched together, representing that initial dense unity. In contrast, fataka means to unsew, rip apart, or separate. The author suggests this linguistic root brilliantly illustrates the initial singularity, that sewn-together state, and its subsequent explosive cosmic expansion, basically the ripping apart.
Moving right along to Section 2, Cosmic Smoke and Water. Shifting from the initial explosion to the primordial elements that formed right after, the source compares astronomical observations with claims made in the Quran.
According to the source, when we look at modern astronomical images of galaxies forming from spiral celestial nebulae, we see a highly active gaseous process. The author argues that this mirrors the Quran's assertion that the heavens were created from what it describes as celestial smoke.
The explainer gets very specific here, highlighting the Arabic word duhan used in the Quran. While it roughly translates to smoke, the author emphasizes that it perfectly encapsulates the scientific reality of a hot, gaseous primordial nebula. Duhan represents suspended particles in a heated, highly active state. The text argues this is actually a far more scientifically accurate description of early cosmic conditions than just saying cold fog or mist.
And that brings us to another huge parallel: water. The author juxtaposes the incredible modern discovery of ancient water molecules found 11 billion light-years away in a distant galaxy with a verse in the Quran stating that every living thing was created from water. It's pretty fascinating to think that scientists using massive radio telescopes are finding water at the very edges of the observable universe, which the source uses to reinforce the Quran's claim of water's foundational role in creation. Which leads us right into Section 3, the expanding universe. Now, this is where the comparisons in our source get incredibly specific regarding the dynamic nature of space. The text directly compares Edwin Hubble's famous 20th century observation, the monumental discovery that galaxies are moving apart and the universe is actively stretching out, right next to a verse from the Quran detailing cosmic expansion. The argument here is that the Quran anticipated this exact astrophysical reality. The author points to chapter 51, verse 47 of the Quran, which reads, "We constructed the heaven with energy, and we are indeed expanding it." The text heavily emphasizes that this verse states the expansion of the universe not as something that happened once in the past, but as an ongoing, continuous action. According to the explainer, this grammatical structure is entirely consistent with modern relativistic physics.
Building on that, the explainer notes that today, astrophysicists don't just ask if the universe is expanding. That's a given. Instead, they use the Hubble constant to measure exactly how fast it's growing. The author uses this to show how the broad claim of an expanding heaven found in the Quran is now the subject of precise mathematical calculation in modern astronomy.
All right, Section 4, Orbits and Celestial Mechanics. Let's zoom in a bit closer to home and look at our own cosmic neighborhood. Looking at our own solar system, the planets, the sun, and the moon all maintain these incredibly precise distances and orbital velocities. The text points out that if this delicate balance were to fail even slightly, catastrophic collisions would be inevitable. This perfect cosmic choreography is highlighted as a major theme in the source material.
The source places this modern understanding of gravitational balance right next to the Quranic assertion that every celestial body swims in its own perfectly calibrated orbit. Specifically, it notes verses stating that the sun and the moon each move to a designated term, arguing that the Quran clearly understood the structured, non-random movement of planetary bodies way before telescopes could ever map them.
To back this up, the text points to the specific Arabic word kavere used in the Quran to describe the night wrapping into the day. The author notes that kavere literally refers to spherical wrapping or folding, much like wrapping a turban around a head. The source argues this is a subtle but undeniable linguistic proof of the Earth's spherical shape.
And finally, Section 5, the final collapse. Just as it began with a point of singularity, the text shifts our focus from expansion to an eventual dramatic collapse.
The author juxtaposes the astrophysical Big Crunch scenario, which is the theory that cosmic expansion will eventually halt and reverse, causing all matter to collapse back in on itself due to gravity, with the Quran's depiction of the end of times. The source notes some really striking similarities in how both paradigms describe a universe that ultimately folds inward.
To anchor this idea, the source highlights chapter 21, verse 104 of the Quran, the day when we will fold the heaven like the folding of a written sheet for the records. As we began the first creation, we will repeat it. The author uses this powerful imagery to argue that the universe's life cycle is a mapped-out, cyclical process destined to end exactly in the dense, folded state from which it began.
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? The author is basically arguing that the Quran maps out a complete, highly structured cosmic timeline. It outlines a singular, connected origin, the Raithaka, followed by a rapid, continuous stretching, the expansion, and concluding with an ultimate folded collapse, the Big Crunch. The explainer presents this as a cohesive, end-to-end alignment between the Quran and modern science.
We'll leave you with this final thought from the source material. If the universe truly operates on this cyclical, expanding, and folding design, what other incredible cosmic discoveries are just waiting to be uncovered? Hopefully this explainer gave you a clear, structured look at how this source connects modern astrophysics with the Quran. Stay curious, keep looking up at the stars, and we'll catch you in the next one.